The untapped powerhouse, why veterans aren't using their VA loan. Alright, let's get straight into it. I'm Kris McCullough. I served 20 years in the Marines, retired, and now I'm a loan officer. My entire focus is helping people just like you, especially my fellow veterans, navigate the world of real estate financing all across the US. I've seen firsthand how a good loan can change lives, build wealth, and provide stability. And that's why I'm here, to share what I've learned and help you make the most of what you've earned. Today, we're diving into something that, frankly, gets me seriously fired up, and I mean that in the best way possible because it's an opportunity we need to seize. We're talking about why so many veterans, individuals who have truly earned the VA loan benefit through their service and sacrifice, simply don't even use it. It's a staggering statistic when you look at it, and it represents a massive missed opportunity for so many of our brothers and sisters in arms. Let me tell you, and I can't stress this enough, that VA loan benefit you've got, it's not just another loan program. It's arguably one of the most powerful, most advantageous tools in the entire American real estate landscape. It was designed specifically for us with incredible benefits. And yet, far too many of us are letting this incredible asset, this key to homeownership and financial growth, just sit there and go to waste. We need to change that, starting now. Reason 1, nobody explained it during transition. So let's kick things off with the first major hurdle. Nobody really sat us down and properly explained the VA loan during our transition out of the service. Think about it. We go through TAPS, or whatever the equivalent program was when you got out, and what do they cover? They teach you how to write a resume, maybe some interview skills, how to navigate the VA healthcare system, and importantly, how to properly check out of base housing. All crucial stuff, don't get me wrong, but it's often focused on the immediate. But what about long-term financial planning? What about building wealth? What about leveraging the single biggest financial benefit many of us earned? The VA home loan? For the vast majority, that conversation either never happened or it was so brief, so glossed over, that it just didn't stick. We learned the logistics of leaving the military, but not the strategies for thriving financially as a civilian, especially when it comes to real estate, which is a cornerstone of wealth for so many. The focus, understandably to some extent, is on getting you out the door and into your next immediate step, whether that's a new job or school. But this oversight, this failure to provide comprehensive financial literacy training that includes a deep dive into the VA loan, is a massive disservice. It's a failure of the system, plain and simple. It's not your fault if you walked away from active duty without a crystal clear understanding of how this incredible home buying tool works. Most of us never received dedicated, practical financial training tailored to our post-service lives. We were experts in our military occupations, highly skilled and disciplined. We could break down and reassemble a rifle blindfolded, navigate by stars, or manage complex logistical operations. But when it came to understanding mortgage options, credit scores in the civilian world, or the nuances of a VA loan appraisal, many of us were left to figure it out on our own, often much later in life. This lack of foundational knowledge during that critical transition period means that, for many veterans, the VA loan isn't even on their radar when they first consider buying a home. They might not know it exists, or they might have heard vague mentions without grasping its true power. It's like being handed the keys to a high-performance vehicle, but never being taught how to drive it, or even what makes it so special. The potential is there, but the know-how is missing. And let me be clear, this isn't an indictment of the individuals running those transition programs. Many are doing their best with the resources and curriculum they're given, but the curriculum itself often falls short in this specific, crucial area. We spend weeks, months, even years training for every conceivable military scenario, but the financial boot camp for civilian life is often a rushed, checklist-driven affair. This needs a fundamental rethink. The consequence of this educational gap is that a powerful benefit, one designed to give veterans a significant advantage in the housing market, goes underutilized. Veterans who could be buying homes with no down payment, avoiding PMI, and enjoying more favorable terms are instead struggling with conventional loans, or worse, delaying homeownership altogether because they believe it's out of reach. Reason 2, bad info from civilians and even some lenders. Now let's move on to the second major reason why so many veterans aren't using their VA loan, and this one really gets under my skin. The sheer amount of bad information and misinformation floating around out there, often coming from civilians and yes, even from some lenders and real estate agents who should know better, It's incredibly frustrating because this bad advice can steer a veteran completely off course. You would be genuinely shocked, or maybe you wouldn't if you've experienced it, by how many well-meaning people, agents, lenders, sometimes even parents or friends, will give advice that is just flat out wrong when it comes to VA loans. They'll say things like, "Oh, just go with an FHA loan, it's easier," or the classic, "You absolutely need 20% down to buy a house." Some will even tell you Virginia loans are too complicated or sellers don't like VA offers. Let me be absolutely clear, most of that is nonsense. Complete and utter misinformation. The VA loan program is in many respects simpler and safer for the veteran than many other loan types. It was specifically designed by the Department of Veterans Affairs for you, the veteran, to make homeownership more accessible and affordable. To hear so-called professionals dismiss it or misrepresent it is infuriating. Think about it from the perspective of a real estate agent or a loan officer who doesn't specialize in VA loans. They might be more familiar with conventional or FHA loans because that's what they deal with 90% of the time. So, when a veteran comes along, instead of taking the time to understand the nuances and benefits of the VA loan, they might try to steer you towards what know best, not what's best. This isn't always malicious. Sometimes it's just ignorance. They might have heard outdated myths about VA appraisals being too strict, or the process being too slow. The truth is, the VA loan process has been streamlined significantly over the years. VA appraisals are there to protect the veteran, ensuring the property is safe, sound, and sanitary, and that you're not overpaying. These are good things. And the idea that you need 20% down? That's one of the biggest myths in real estate, period. But it's especially damaging when told to a veteran who has access to a program that typically requires no down payment. Zero, zilch, nada. That is a game changer, and to have someone tell you otherwise is to potentially rob you of that incredible advantage. Then there's the VA loans are too complicated line. Complicated for whom? Maybe for a lender who doesn't do many of them and isn't familiar with the paperwork. But for the veteran, the process is often more straightforward, with more protections built in. The VA has your back. Alright, the third reason we see so many veterans not using their VA loan is, quite simply, fear. It's the fear of the unknown, fear of the process, fear of rejection, and often a deep-seated worry that they just won't qualify. This is a really human element, and it's completely understandable, especially if you've faced financial challenges or feel like your situation isn't perfect. A lot of veterans I talk to carry around anxieties about their financial past. They might be worried about their credit score, thinking it's not high enough. Maybe they don't have a significant amount saved for a down payment, because remember, they might have been told, incorrectly, that they need one. Some worry because they're single, or their spouse isn't working, or their income situation feels a bit non-traditional. I've heard all these concerns, and many more. Here's what I want to tell you, loud and clear. You would be absolutely surprised how far your service and the flexibility built into the VA loan program can go. The VA loan is intentionally designed to be more forgiving and more accessible than many conventional loan programs. The people who created this benefit understood that military life can come with unique financial circumstances. Let's talk about credit. While the VA itself doesn't set a minimum credit score, lenders will have their own requirements. However, these requirements for VA loans are often more lenient than for conventional loans. And even if your credit isn't stellar right now, a good loan officer who specializes in VA loans can often provide guidance on how to improve it, sometimes relatively quickly, to meet the necessary thresholds. Don't count yourself out prematurely. Then there's the down payment myth, which we touched on. The fear of not having enough saved up is a major barrier for many aspiring homeowners. But with a VA loan, for most eligible veterans, there is no down payment requirement. This is huge. It removes one of the biggest financial hurdles to homeownership. So if lack of a down payment is your primary fear, the VA loan is specifically designed to alleviate that. What about income? Some veterans worry that their income isn't high enough or stable enough, especially if they've recently transitioned to a new civilian career. The VA loan guidelines look at residual income, meaning after your major expenses, including the proposed mortgage payment, are paid, do you have enough left over to cover typical family living costs? This approach can sometimes be more favorable than strict debt-to-income ratios used in other loan types, and for those who are self-employed, or have variable income, or are using disability income, the VA loan program has provisions for all of these situations. It's not an automatic disqualifier, It just means you need to work with a loan officer who knows how to properly document and present your income situation to the underwriter. Again, expertise matters immensely here. The fear of the unknown process itself is also significant. Buying a home is a big step, and the mortgage process can seem daunting with all its paperwork and terminology. This is where a good loan officer acts not just as a lender but as a guide and an educator. This brings us to the fourth and incredibly common reason why veterans don't use their VA loan. Quite often, nobody even offers it to them. You might walk into your local bank or call a big national lender you saw an ad for, express interest in a home loan, and the VA loan option might never even come up in conversation, even if you mention you're a veteran. This happens far more frequently than you might think, and it's a huge disservice. Why does it occur? Well, a primary reason is that too many lenders and individual loan officers simply don't specialize in VA loans. They might technically be able to originate one, but it's not their bread and butter. They're not deeply familiar with the program, its nuances, or its significant advantages for veterans. And here's a crucial point. When you don't specialize in something, you generally don't promote it. If a lender is primarily focused on conventional loans or FHA loans because that's where they do the bulk of their business and feel most comfortable, they are naturally going to guide conversations in that direction. They might not intentionally be trying to withhold information, but their lack of expertise or focus on VA loans means it gets overlooked. Think about it from their perspective. If processing a VA loan requires a bit more specialized knowledge, or if they perceive it as having extra steps, even if those steps are beneficial for the veteran, they might subconsciously or consciously steer you towards a loan product they can process more quickly or with less effort on their part, based on their own operational habits. This is not putting the veteran's best interest first. So, even if you call a random bank or a general mortgage company, and you tell them you're a veteran looking to buy a home, they might just launch into their standard spiel about conventional mortgage options. They might ask about your down payment, your credit score, and then slot you into whatever program fits their typical mold, without ever pausing to say, hey, as a veteran, have you considered the VA loan? It could save you a lot of money. This is precisely why it is so incredibly important to work with someone who truly understands the VA loan program, not just on a superficial level, but deeply. Someone who has likely used the benefit themselves or has dedicated a significant portion of their career to serving the veteran community. Someone who knows how to structure a VA loan properly to maximize its benefits for you. A loan officer who specializes in VA loans will proactively bring it up. They'll ask about your service. They'll immediately recognize the potential for you to use this powerful benefit. Their first thought won't be conventional or FHA, it will be, is this veteran eligible for a VA loan, and how can we make that happen for them? That's a fundamental difference in approach. Moreover, a specialist will know how to navigate any potential complexities, advocate for you if issues arise, and communicate effectively with all parties involved, including real estate agents and appraisers, about the strengths of a VA-backed offer. They can dispel myths and ensure the process moves smoothly. Look, the bottom line is this: your VA loan benefit is an incredibly powerful tool, and it's sitting there waiting for you. I'm Kris McCullough, a retired Marine who served for 20 years, and now as a mortgage loan officer, I've made it my personal and professional mission to help veterans, active duty service members, and their families understand and use the benefits they so rightfully earned. It's about more than just a house. It's about buying real estate, building long-term financial strength, and securing a piece of the American dream you defended. If anything we talked about today, the lack of information during transition, the bad advice from civilians, the fear of the process, or lenders simply not offering it, if any of that hit home for you, then please do a couple of things. First, like this video. It helps spread the message to other veterans who need to hear it. Second, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be putting out a lot more content just like this, designed to empower you. And most importantly, head over to krismccullough.com. I've loaded it up with resources specifically for you. There are 14 different loan calculators, free ebooks packed with information, and a ton of other tools all designed to help you navigate this process. Let's stop letting this incredible VA loan benefit collect dust. Let's educate ourselves, let's take action, and let's use it. And more than that, let's build something lasting with it, for ourselves, for our families, and for our future.